I'd like to call the Foster-Glocester Regional School Committee to order. Can I have roll call?
Please. Sure. Ms. Cook? Here. Ms. Joyce?
Here.
Mr. Mara? Here. Mr. Dupuy?
Here.
Ms. Keeling? Mr. Joyce? Ms. Pezza? Ms. Ferreira? Here. Mr. Rizzo? Here.
Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have student and staff recognition.
So tonight we get to honor some pretty talented kids. The All-State Bands, Orchestra, and Choruses featured students from Pontiac Middle School in grades 7 and 8 performed at the Vets on Sunday, March 9th, 2025. The instrumentalists began the day at 10:30, followed by the choirs at 3:30. Students prepared for several months ahead of time and auditioned for a judge one Saturday in November. Students from all over the state auditioned, and only those with the highest scores were selected. Pontiac Middle School is proud of the following students for making this year's All-State Band and Chorus.
Okay. In band, Eliana Chandler, Owen Terry, Owen plays the clarinet.
Yep, School Committee Row.
Yes, shake everyone's hand. William Warren, trombone. Nice. Mixed chorus, Gabriel DeVito, Aiden Migno, Sienna Pollard, and Will Thorne. Treble chorus, An Effecto.
I should also say a unified player too, an awesome kid.
She will be missed next year. Ava Nunez, Aubriana Reichart, Avery Rube, Anastasia Sedzik. I don't see any of them here. And we also had 5 6th grade students participate in elementary all-state chorus. They were selected via the teacher recommendation and performed their concert at Vets Auditorium on Saturday, March 8th. Ava Delfino, Megan Jeffrey, Adriana Georgie, Quinn Parnell, Laurel Riley. And lastly, the All-State Guitar Ensemble concert took place on Sunday, March 16th at Holy Apostles Church, and Ellie Armand participated in this group after being accepted via audition. Don't think I see her either.
Switch at you.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, Pontiac students. You made us very proud.
Next on the agenda, approval of meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the open meeting on April 1st, 2025.
Any discussion? Eileen? That was Eileen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of executive session on
Nope,
April
7.
1st, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 7-0. Monthly bills.
I make a motion to approve the monthly bills dated April 1st, 2025 to April 30th, 2025 in the amount of $585,130.91.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 7-0. Finance update, budget, finance.
We're at, for revenue, just about 83% collected, and for expenses for the month of April, or through the month of April, we're at about 72.89%. For the budget update, we'll have that next month. We're just finalizing a few more numbers on that, and then you also have some budget adjustments. There's, I think, 40-something pages worth of adjustments, and that's because of all the UCOA adjustments that we've made in this last quarter. So we have to adjust the expense and therefore the budget. So that's why we have so many.
So do we need to vote on that, or are we waiting because we're gonna make some changes?
On the FY26 budget.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll have the final one next month.
okay.
So there's nothing to vote on today.
Nothing to
Yeah.
vote on.
Nothing to vote on for this, okay.
In C2,
No,
right?
yeah, so letter C, approval of the FY25 Quarter 3 budget adjustments.
Yes, you have that in your packet. It says budget journal entries.
I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 25 quarter 3 budget adjustments.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Facilities capital projects update.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the LED lighting retrofit for PMS and PHS as presented in the packet.
Second.
Mara. Any discussion?
So the Capital Projects Committee reviewed with the administration the 4 bids that were received for the project, and the one that you see in the packet was the one that was recommended for approval by that group.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 7-0. And now letter B.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the electronic security system upgrades for PMS and PHS as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any discussion?
Similar to the first, the Capital Project Subcommittee reviewed this with the administration. I believe this was the only one that we got, but it was a qualified bid, and it was recommended for approval by that group.
Great.
I also have to say that even working at our capital projects subcommittee, that this was the contractor that was reputable, that we needed, or that actually put forward the bid for it. So I would urge the passing of this
It
motion.
was quite a thorough
Yes.
bid.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 7-0. Athletic director's update. He's slowing me down.
How we doing? Wow, that's loud. So real quickly, good news. We just did our signing of letter intents in the spring. I think Kyle sent that out to you. And we had 12 individuals that are going to be competing at the next level, 2 of them going Ivy. And so it was a big day, not for the athletic department, but for the coaches and the parents and the kids who've worked really hard over the last couple of years to achieve that. So it was nice to see. We had a lot of winter highlights. I know you're well aware of them because you gave out the awards already, but Pontigansett is starting to be known as the kings and queens of winter sports. So we won a Division I basketball tournament for the second time in 4 years, and the wrestling team won the state tournament and the New England tournament. And so everybody was very happy about that. The field conditions, which we'll get into in a minute, but the good news is Rad Sports has been out here physically. I think it was 2 or 3 times. I know for sure twice. So we're still waiting a little bit for the schematics there. And then lastly, it was made official just this past winter from last year that Mike Kalenda was recognized by the Rhode Island Interscholastic League as the softball coach of the year, and then DJ Glassberg was recognized as the cross-country coach of the year. So that was quite a award for them as well. They've been doing that for a very long time. Another bit of information I don't know if you're aware of, but there's a rugby club now here at Pontigansett, and Alex McLeod, who's very excited about rugby, he's a guidance counselor. He started in W4, which is an interest period where our kids get to go and investigate an interest that they have, and he's kind of like taken over the Ox Gym with Mr. Karen on that, and they're basically teaching the kids rugby, and then they go through USA Rugby, not through Pontigansett High School, where the kids get insured, and they have club coaches, and those club coaches have to get their own certifications. So it's a little bit disconnected from us in terms of liability, which is good, but it's also connected in that a lot of the kids are from our particular interest group, and our staff is participating as coaches. So they're going to have their first rugby tournament at Foster coming up here, so if anyone wants to attend. I've been looking into rugby quite a bit, and I know that the RIL is pushing, I just had a conversation with Tom Marcello, they're pushing flag football for women, which I'm in support of as well. One of the things I really is appealing to me about women's rugby is that there are not a lot of women's rugby teams in the United States, let alone New England, but they do have quite a few NCAA women's programs. So there's 4 programs in the Ivy League alone. So if Pontigansett could become a feeder system for Dartmouth, I'd be pretty happy about that. So I think it's something that would be worth us looking into, and I give Alex a lot of credit for all the work that he's put in there. All right, the fields, the big one.
I mean, can I just
Sure.
make a comment? Just so you know, he wants to do unified rugby. It scares the crap out of me how we're going to tackle and all that, but so we could have a third sport.
I also just wanted to say I'm very proud that, you know, we're looking into rugby, because I know even when I was up at college, there was it wasn't as an NCAA sport, but it was actually a club sport, both men's and women's rugby, and they were actually invited to like Beast of the East because they would play other colleges, even though it wasn't an NCAA sport. They were still playing like down here in Newport and other places like this with Roger Williams. So I just want to say like thank you to Alex, and thank you for allowing our students to actually be able to do this in order to, because rugby is coming up. If you think about it across the country now, it's big out in Europe, but now it's coming up through here. So I just want to say thank you for that, for looking forward.
Yeah, and one of the unique distinctions about rugby, which is why I'm throwing out the idea of women's rugby first and foremost, is a lot of the universities that have club rugby prefer to keep it under the club flag because you can do different things as a club in college because you're not having to operate under NCAA restrictions in terms of like raising money and bringing international students in to do club. But I just think that in our backyard, especially in our area, our neck of the woods in New England, there's so many good universities that actually have all-female teams. It'd be something worth looking into because there's definitely a need for high school athletes to have, or there's definitely an opportunity for high school athletes to be able to access that. All right, so we have, if you remember, we played our Thanksgiving Day game, and it was a very wet, messy affair. I remember wearing my white Pontigansett pullover out there, and I didn't go home unscathed. But the field basically got kind of eviscerated right before it froze, which is always bad when the spring thaw comes. And so when the spring came, it took, I would say, an extra amount of time for it to try to heal. So we tried to play on it early. That didn't work out very well. Steve had brought up some concerns. Parents had brought up some concerns. I'm just letting you know if you haven't heard this already. Coaches had brought up some safety concerns. And so what we did was we just kind of pivoted, and we moved girls lacrosse to Foster, which I want to thank Foster Rec. Tammy Steinkamp was really instrumental in making that happen. And so we went over there and we set up for girls lacrosse. And girls lacrosse worked out great. The boys throw the ball at a little bit of a higher velocity, so I was very worried about any little kids running along the sideline and safety concerns I had. Those safety concerns were reiterated by the coaches and some of the parents when I brought it up. So we moved boys lacrosse off-site. So we've been utilizing Situate. They've been very kind to us, Smithfield and Johnston. So it's a lot of moving things around, and we do understand that the parents may perceive that as us not caring as much about lacrosse as they feel like we should, but it's a situation where we're making the best of the situation that we can. And it's also like really calling attention to the fact that we need to do something with the field. Whenever we get into the spring, I remember Brendan saying when the rain comes and it thaws, we're going to have an issue again, and we definitely do. It looks good, pretty good right now because we haven't been playing on it, so it's had time to heal. I mean, that's been past practice before we had lacrosse. But it does become expensive to have all of our games away. One of the things that's kind of offset that expense was you guys, or Renee, and I think in conjunction with you, had purchased 2 athletic vans. And so we got those registered 3 weeks ago, and they've already been used 8 times. So at $500 a pop, we've saved $4,000 just utilizing those vans. One of the things that I would ask of you, maybe as a future agenda item, or we'll just check with the business office and HR, is making a chauffeur's license mandatory for the application to be a coach. That's an additional expense for people to go to the DMV and secure a chauffeur's license. I know in the past, the school committee's advocated for paying for a certification for the first time coaches get certified. I think it's like a $75 charge for the initial class that you have to take. I don't know how many coaches actually seek reimbursement, but if it's something that we want to mandate for our coaches, or at least encourage for our coaches so that they could take the vans, I definitely think it's a huge cost savings. The busing goes up by $10 an hour every year. I think we're around $140,000 to $150,000 in transportation this year, which is just going to continue to go up. So the track, I just talked to the track coach today, and I check in every now and again. As you know, the track and the tennis courts both have pretty, I don't want to say large crevasses, cracks in them. The tennis court's a little bit worse. The track we looked at fixing the track last year by using filler that you can purchase, but we were anticipating going out for a bond. So we didn't want to actually put a bunch of filler in and then make additional work for the people that we're going to be resurfacing. However, just so you know, the longer we go, the larger those cracks are going to get in both surfaces, and the more of a safety issue it will become, until you'll have to move those events off-site as well. So when you look at transportation costs, just like we're dealing with lacrosse, if we're having to move track and tennis and all these sports off-site because of the condition of our facilities, it's going to cost a ton more money. So my suggestion as the athletic director would be we are looking at it with the schematics with RAD, but certainly the school committee should seriously consider doing an athletic bond at some point in the near future to fix and remedy these problems because they get big fast.
Does anybody have any questions for him? Go ahead.
Is transportation the only cost for moving them off-site, or are you having to pay for anything other than that?
No, so depending upon the school district, which I shouldn't say out loud because I don't want to make them aware of this, depending upon the school district, some of them charge us, so it's based on availability. So for instance, Smithfield charges $700 to use their facility. In addition to the $700, I usually have to pay for a trainer off-site or an EMT off-site, which is an additional $200 to $400 per game. So when you look at busing cost at $500 a trip, in addition to a $700 charge, in addition to a $400 charge, you're looking at quite a cost to have a game off-site.
Wow, so other schools charge other districts to use their facilities? Wow, $700, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Makes me really think about our building use policy.
So from a Foster standpoint, I think it's great that we're able to use that new field. It's wonderful to see it getting some folks there, and it's nice to, I think, as a community to be able to contribute a little bit from a facility standpoint. There are other fields in Foster. There's the Woody Loudon Center. It's a little bit further, and I believe those fields are probably a little rough around the edges, but just keep that in mind too. If there's need that persists, I'm sure that the folks at the town hall will direct you to some of those if needed. As far as the transportation piece goes, that feels to me, like, I'm not sure about the rest of me, that can probably be handled administratively. If that's something we want to look for in coaches, like, just put it as a suggestion, and if there needs to be some supplement, then maybe that's something that we talk about if it's a finance thing. But I would say that if that's what you need to do to satisfy your needs, personally, I'd say just go for it. Just tweak the application, and it doesn't need to come before us. The track piece, I do think, to what Mr. Joyce was saying, is that there are some items that we do need to start getting into this summer. And no matter what we do with regards to an athletic facility upgrade, it will be several years before it's done. And these things need to be addressed before there's a bigger issue. In addition to the immediate costs of transporting these kids out of district, I think as a committee, we need to understand that we have a lot of youth within our community that are trying to use these. And if they see that there's better facilities in our neighboring communities, especially as we're transporting them there anyhow, we do run the risk of losing some of our students to competing CTE programs when we would like to educate them here, keep them here with their peers, with our teachers and our staff and our administrators here. Likewise, we heavily recruit from some of those neighboring districts to bring students in here for our awesome CTE programs. One of the draws is our athletic programs. If they're seeing in their home districts, they have these brand spanking new facilities that are great, and a lot of the other stuff is comparable, we lose some of that competitive edge. So I think as we look ahead and we start planning, obviously it's not a today, next month plan, we need to keep that in mind too, that there's definitely an intangible cost that we risk incurring the longer that we put this off. But I do think some of those repairs just really need to be done this summer. I mean, you probably can't do like track repairs while they're in season. And it's almost over at this point, but summer seems like a great time to, like, you know, do what needs to be done just to put some Band-Aids on it to get it to the finish line. I had one more, but man, I was monologuing too long. So I'll
Hey, when it comes to you, let me know.
As an English teacher, I appreciate the pun, though. Getting to the finish line, that was good. All right.
Does anybody else?
I was just curious as far as like we have like these temporary situations for lacrosse and all the other sports you were saying. Is that for the duration of the season or depending on field conditions?
It depends on field conditions, but what happens is I mean, ideally, you're supposed to aerate. I'm learning all of this. As if you looked at my grass at home, it doesn't show that I know much about it. But you're supposed to aerate in early April, and so Buildings and Grounds did aerate and seed in April, but after you aerate and seed, you're supposed to stay off for a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks. And so if you go out there now, you'll see that the grass that they've planted is just starting to grow. And so the problem with running sports in the spring, and it's listen, I want to run as many sports as we possibly can. Just because it gives kids the opportunities that I believe they deserve. And I agree with Mara that offering those opportunities are exactly why some of the children come here, or at least it's a determining factor or a consideration. So I think the spring is the biggest hiccup because we are one of the only districts that still has a natural grass field, which, by the way, for all the people out here in Foster-Glocester who love it, I love it too. And I think that if we there's a lot of different options which we're going to have RAD present to us, but for our purposes, spring is the biggest issue. And so, busing all of those teams off of campus, we can bring them back when the field is ready to play on, but we're only bringing them back this year for their senior night, which is unfortunate. But because we seeded it and aerated it when we did, we really have no other choice unless we'll just run into the same thing where we wear it down, ruin it, and we run into the same problem next year. Sorry about that long-winded answer. Yes.
When is that rugby tournament?
I think it's this weekend. It's
Yes.
Saturday morning, I think 9 to 12.
Saturday from 9 to 12, yes.
The last one, sorry, I remembered it, if you don't mind. It was that at our capital projects meeting, we did ask our facilities director just to try and get a schedule from RAD Sports as they put together their proposal, which should help inform some of our decisions and strategic planning as far as what their design and construction would look like for this project. So we should have some information quite soon on that front.
Perfect. Any other comments? All right, we're good. Thank you. Superintendent's report. It's in your packet, if anyone has any. Oh, we have some contract approvals.
Thank you. It's in here, I know. All right, if you look at the superintendent's report, we have, there are 4 appointments, which are new people, but not new positions. Edward Martin, he is the controller. You approved his contract before we actually posted the position, and that's Ann's previous position. So now she's committed to the Director of Finance. Thank you, Ann. Chris LeBlanc, he had a contract until the end of this school year. He's our middle school AP. You met him at our last meeting. Brad Wilson is our current special ed director, and Kyle Santos is our current assistant special ed director. But with Foster-Glocester Regional Schools becoming the fiscal agent for Northwest Special Ed, they become, you have to approve a contract for them. So we've taken the same salary, same terms, everything. It's just for you to approve the contract. And then we have retirements. Mike Kalenda did submit his retirement, which is the position, he was Dean of Students at the middle school, so Mr. LeBlanc will take that. And we had 2 math teachers at the middle school, Joanne Barros and at Schofield, and Maureen Flowers at the middle school for retirement. So lots going on at the middle school. And then we have 2 teacher layoffs for you to look at and approve, and that has to do with the budget update that Ann and I will give you in June.
Madam Chair, I just want to say thank you to Mike Kalenda, Joanne Barrows, Maureen Flowers, and Annette Schofield for their hard work and dedication to this district. I know Joanne Barrows and Michael Kalenda, even though I never had them while I was in middle school because I was on, what was it at that time, the yellow team instead of the gold team, and then the blue team instead of the red team at the time. Again, this is dating me now. But again, I want to say thank you for all 4 of those individuals that shaped our children and shaped our students to the children and to the students and to the adults they are today. So I just want to say thank you to all 4 of them.
Thank you, Aaron. I agree. Thank you.
Renee, just to confirm, we made an agreement with Situate for the special ed, right?
Did they back out, or are we on a?
We're still Northwest Special Ed, still the 4 districts sharing the services.
Okay.
So without getting into the specifics of people, will we be discussing the layoffs as part of the larger budget conversation next month? Is it?
Yes.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion for the contracts?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the contracts as presented in the packet.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 7-0. Rhode Island Student Assistant Service.
Madam Chair, I
Services.
make a motion to approve the Rhode Island Student Assistance Services as presented in the packet.
Any discussion?
I actually do.
Yep.
Sorry, just trying to get so many contracts in here. So I was also looking through here, Renee, and I'm just trying to make sure. I thought I saw something that we have to pay $38,000. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's, yes, and you've had a student assistance counselor since before I came, and it's been the same agreement, so the district pays a portion, and then there's a reduced cost that's associated with it, and it's been in the budget, we never reduced that. And your current student assistance counselor works 3 days at the high school and 2 days at the middle school. If you remember Mr. Goulet, Lee Goulet, yeah, he was your student, just to give you a reference.
Okay. And now is this considered like a separate program or?
Yes, I mean, it's a program that you've had, so our current student assistance counselor assists students based on the needs, works very closely with your school counseling department, with your school social worker and your school psychologist. A lot of education forward programs, so as you talk about vaping, there was a Mrs. DiPetrillo worked closely with Ms. Murray at the high school. They talked about bringing in a speaker. So it's definitely an additional support, and the fees have not increased. We have the same as this current school year.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just looking at the sample parent letter at the end, Exhibit A. This is an opt-out as opposed to an opt-in for parents? So this is an opt-out as opposed to opt-in? So students automatically are enrolled in this unless the parent specifically opts out? Is that that's what it seems to say?
It's a meeting with the school counselor, so anytime there is a meeting with the school counselor, the parents would know. So it's an opt.
That's
I mean,
what the
it's not
letter
a-
says.
Yeah, yeah.
Letter
We
says
don't-
if you do not opt out, this will indicate that you consent to your child participating.
Say that again, which one are you on, Greg?
Exhibit A, sample school parent letter,
I don't
the
know.
second to the last paragraph.
We haven't given the
If you
parent.
do not opt out, then this will indicate that you consent to your child participating in meetings with the student assistance counselor and to the use of this data for quality improvement purposes.
Yeah,
If-
we haven't given the parent letter. We don't typically give the parent letter, but on the sign-off sheet at the beginning of the year, the parents will check off with every, they're both saying no to me, okay. We give the parent letter? Oh,
And what it is consenting for students to be able to meet with Ms. DiPetrillo. So if we had an issue with student vaping, we would be able to set them up with a meeting with Ms. DiPetrillo. Now, Ms. DiPetrillo also calls home, so she does get consent from the parent that way as well. And as administrators, if we're going to refer a student to Ms. DiPetrillo, we also call home and inform the parent as well. But that letter does go home so that if the parent signs it, we do indicate that the student is not to meet with Ms. DiPetrillo, and we will put that student with one of our faculty members instead of Ms. DiPetrillo.
So is it permission
I-
before, prior to the meeting, or after, after the meeting? Because sometimes parents are notified of things after everything's already happened. So I think it's a great question.
So it's a combination of both, because if they haven't signed that, they, through not signing that, have given us consent to be able to meet with Ms. DiPetrillo, so we have good students who meet with her. But that does go home to all parents, and if they do sign it, that is recorded, and Ms. DiPetrillo has a list of that, so she knows which students not to meet.
Has there been any issues with people not knowing, like, this is
Not
a
at all.
thing? And
No, it's very clearly communicated at the beginning of the year with everything, that goes home. And we have not had any issues, and Ms. DiPetrillo actually works very closely with the parents of the students that she works with, so most of them will use her a lot of the time as the primary contact here at the school, so we have not had any issues.
I'm uncomfortable with these opt-out as opposed to opt-in for something involving behavioral health.
I agree.
so does it make sense to table it? We can revisit and see if we can change the wording?
As I said, this is the first I've even learned
Yeah.
that this is being done. Again, I've been here a long time. I was here a long time ago. You guys had a situation with an outside counselor who worked. He was not certified, had some issues, had to fire him. That was going back about 25 years. It was an ugly situation. I'm just very sensitive to this stuff.
That wasn't a warrant.
It was 25.
As a parent,
Okay,
I
so-
would wanna know, like, ahead of time. And,
So
I
we
mean, I
can
would
put that
say,
on the
like,
agenda
our-
again.
Most people read everything, but not everyone does,
That is
right?
given to us by her agency, and it's.
Okay.
I don't-
Any
So you
student
didn't
that
write it,
agency
it's not-
works with gets that same letter, so I want you to think we created
Right, no, it's
it.
not you,
Right.
right? You
No, I'm
didn't write
not,
it,
not
no.
pointing the
No,
finger at
it's-
anybody, but I just have, I think you need a little bit more looking at this.
Okay,
So then I rescind my motion.
okay. And Eileen, so we're gonna table number 11. And we'll move on to number 12, the Learn 365 grant.
So the Learn 365 grant came out of the work with the governor and the commissioner. This year it's focused on Math Matters. And so we had to submit it at the local level. We, as a region, couldn't submit it, so we submitted at the local level, worked very closely with Ms. Dubois, and we were able to secure about $20,000. And so our students at the middle school will be involved in some type of math camp, project-based. They'll be building. They'll be just happy math students right at the end of school. So we're excited about that. That's just for your information. Ooh.
Any questions? Okay, the RIDE CTE for All grant.
So this one is another one, really proud of this one. The Department of Education, again, along with what the governor is doing and the commissioner, they had a pretty substantial amount of money for a grant called CTE for All. And so our team wrote a new standard around green construction. Then, after creating the new standard, applied for the grant. And out of 16 schools who applied, 9 received the grants, and we were the highest. We are set to receive about $472,000. And it will be for us to really focus on green construction careers. So Mr. Myers, Mr. Martin, really excited about what we can do, and we just need to partner with the town building inspector to see what parameters we have to live within. But this one is a pretty exciting move forward.
That's awesome. As part of the money, can they utilize the money for like projects, or is it more to just support the learning of these concepts?
So our hope is to create a facility space that will support the integration of. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, public comment? Okay. Do I have a motion to seek to?
Is there a public?
I make a
Yeah.
motion to convene to executive session to discuss and/or vote on the following matters. Per Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A, Section 8, privacy of student records, homeschool. Per Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A, job performance. The job performance of an individual has been notified in writing of this. Per Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, grievance, the Neopon grievance number 2425-02. And per Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A, Section 2, pending litigation/legal advice, the OMA 25-09 Pezza v. Foster-Glocester Regional School District, OMA complaint DeSanto versus Foster-Glocester School Committee, and PR 25-18 Raymond v. Foster-Glocester School District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?